Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's time for Top Censored News of the Week. We are bringing you the stories the mainstream media refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a dishonest or sloppy way, and it's always on purpose. This week's Top Censored News, we're focusing on, we're calling it the LA Fires edition, because in the last 48 hours, we've seen the story botched seemingly on purpose by a lot of the mainstream media outlet. We'll give a little more credit to some of the local news because they actually went in there and tried to figure out what was going on a little bit more honestly, it seems. But the mainstream was completely nefarious about this coverage from the beginning. And we're going to start with our number 3. Coming in at number 3, they canceled fire insurance on homeowners and then shut off the water. Look at this. Upscale Westside LA neighborhoods hit very hard by State Farm home insurance cancellations. This is back in April 10th, 2024. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, according to Laura Powell, last year, State Farm canceled 1,600 policies in Pacific Palisades because the state would not allow them to raise premiums enough to cover their exposure. The affected homeowners would then likely have to rely on the state run Fair Plan, an expensive last resort insurance program, but the Fair Plan reportedly only had a surplus of $200 million as of April, and it was likely to become insolvent and if a catastrophic event occurred, which seemingly it did. Let's look at what some people are saying that are losing their homes in real time. This is a testimony that happened live on local news regarding the insurance of their family member. And we saw pushback to this interview, but I wanted you guys to see this isn't somebody just freaking out and making stuff up. This is based on real life happenings and people getting canceled. So let's see what this person has to say that just lost their home in the Palisades.
Not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
I know the feeling.
And they just they got canceled from their fire insurance. So they're dealing with this. They're 90 years old. And through the state of California, because of this, they're 90 years old, that they've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance. So thank you, California insurance companies, supporting residents who pay taxes and love California. And they wonder why people leave California.
First and foremost, you did get your parents out safely.
I live in Sierra Madre. My parents are in Sierra Madre, but...
And now you know that it is under evacuation as well.
So I like how the interviewer changes the subject to first and foremost. I think that was established. I like that. Isn't that interesting? We had to go back. We always have to go back to but you're alive. Everyone's alive, right? No one died. So let's just deflect what she just said. So what any thoughts on that so far, Craig?
No, I mean, this is the mandate that made sure that, it priced people out of the insurance and had the insurance companies drop people's coverage, right? They made sure that only the hedge funds, right, and the Black Rocks could have this insurance, but everybody else got priced out. This is the problem with, when government fails, and it fails a lot. But in situations like this is what kind of lends credence to what Leo was saying at the end of the day. Like, it's like they want people gone. They want people dead. They want them out of it. They don't care about you. This is about money, finances, resources, the whole 9 yards. This is about them versus us. And it just seems very awfully suspicious, too, as well, the way these fires broke out in different areas, you know what I'm saying, completely separate from each other. Nobody's really talking about the what. I mean, you hear people talking about these different things. Obviously, you got a bunch of conservatives that are going, the woke policies is what killed this. You got people on the left who are saying this is about Karen Bass giving more money to the police, not the fire department. And people like myself. And that's why I was able to ask Leo that question about the controlled burns that didn't happen. And even though that is important, there are other things to look at. I mean, this whole situation stinks to high heaven. But what's really interesting is that a lot of rich people lost their homes. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they say and how they turn on this whole situation.
Yeah. Well, let's tag on that number 3. We got the water being shut off. And again, there's people push back on this. I saw pushback on that woman who just said her parents got her house insurance gone. The fire insurance they've been paying their whole lives is gone. Right. People are like, oh, she's exaggerating this and that. We heard the same thing about the water not existing. So why don't we hear it directly from the mouth of an actual fireman? Let's see how, is he lying? Is he making this up? Let's see.
Here on Lockman Lane, there are several homes burning. This is the one that firefighters were trying to put out a little while ago, but you can see right now it's just kind of out of control. Since then, firefighters have lost water pressure on the hydrant, so they can't get any more water onto this fire and the ones down the hill because of the water pressure issues.
And tag on to that, here's a fireman having to get desperate of how he's going to actually put a fire out when he has no water pressure in the hose. Watch this. This is unbelievable. He's grabbing an orange cone. This is a fireman grabbing an orange cone, putting water from the gutter in it, and putting out the little flame on the sidewalk. This is a guy who's defeated, can't do his job. So, and again, we're getting pushback from the news outlets. We had a local news outlet who had to correct a story, say, we want everyone to know that whoever said something about the water pressure or that there wasn't water, we're not validating that story. Okay, cut to so-and-so, our correspondent is on the ground with more on the fire. And the first thing they say is they have no water. So like, even as the news organization are trying to deflect, trying to change the subject, trying not to cover this stuff, the people on the ground are showing us exactly what's happening. Literally firemen having to show us what's happening as the news organizations are trying to change the subject or say, we don't stand behind these claims. It's unbelievable, Craig. Unbelievable. And that's why this story is at number 3, because that's where we start. We start with this. Insurance is canceled. Water's turned off. Yeah. Same shit we saw in Lahaina. Same stuff. But we're not allowed to talk about this while the fires are still going, right, Craig? It's too early, right? No. Too soon, right? I'm angry. I'm angry. Just at this alone, just at the insurance and the water. It's not okay. People in LA have been paying taxes their whole lives. California are big on, vote blue no matter who, get your elected leaders, pay your fair share. And then when something like this happens, you lose your insurance before the thing happens. And then when it's time to put the damn thing out, you can't even do that. Where is this money going? We know it's a scam. We know it's all a big play against the people. I just hope more people are waking up to this and they can recognize that even though, ABC 7 might be slightly better than CNN, they're still changing the subject. They're still like going, oh, that's too bad to hear about your parents' insurance. But you're all alive, right? You're all alive, right? Like, so it's like there's no good intentioned source out there except the people in our space who we have to deal with being canceled and censored and terminated and shadow banned and all that shit. So it's very frustrating. I again, apologize. I'm so angry right now, but this is literally hitting home right now.
Yeah, literally hitting home. Yeah, I know. And one of the things that too is very frustrating is the way they kind of everybody gets tribal about this. They get really partisan. You know what I'm saying? And the process that watching Gavin Newsom going back and forth with Donald Trump and saying, you don't believe in global warming, you're dismissed for this conversation. Like that tells you everything you need to hear. Even if this is about, global warming, why can't we have a conversation about everything involved? And, the tribal behavior, the thing that we push back against again on this show here, they're expressing it right now. They're highlighting it on a regular basis, and it's from both sides. Who kind of? This was the perfect storm. It was the weapons itself was multiple things happening at one time. Who owns and who buys off a lot of the Republicans when it comes to BlackRock, right? They got their money in their pocket, all these hedge funds too as well, to make sure that only they could have the insurance while everybody else had to suffer. It's not just the left, the Democrats, it's the establishment, right? Yeah. The establishment works at one, and they all don't like us. They all hate us.
Yeah. All right. Coming in at number 2, Karen Bass cuts off 17.6 million. There should have been $1 million there in fire department funding, then leaves the country. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, okay. Here we go. From New York Post. LA Mayor Karen Bass cut fire department funding by 17.6 million months before wildfires turned city into hellscape. Insane. This is the actual cuts that she did. This is what people in LA voted for. This is what the Vote Blue No Matter Who crew did. These are the good guys. Look at the millions that she cut. Look at that real quick. Fire and then street services. So it's the second worst one, 17.6 million. And we're supposed to be cheering on this team. Like they're good with money. They know how to allocate funds. Again, we don't even have to say this is intentional. Like I'm going to make this the hardest for the people as possible. This at best case scenario, Craig, best case scenario, this is just idiotic stupidity and dumbness. And then as we saw in the opening, well, actually, you know what? Let's see a little more of that. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you guys saw the opening, we showed how Karen Bass responded when she got back into the country. And so she wasn't even here. She was in Ghana. She comes back, and this is what she has to say for herself. Literally nothing.
Citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up on that? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
He can
She's
shut
thinking.
up.
She's thinking. Yeah.
Elon Musk can shut up too as well.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what a joke. What a joke. Anybody defending this and saying, "Oh no, she's a good guy. She's taking her time. She wants to get her words right." At least she's not Trump, right? At least she's not Trump who just runs his mouth. Could you imagine someone like Trump standing there saying nothing? I mean, are you insane? Like you have nothing to say to the people. It's an utter disgrace. People should be effing furious right now that are standing here with nothing, no home, nothing, gone, and she's got nothing to say. What a joke. Let's get to the number one. And this kind of ties everything together, guys. Coming in number one on Top Censored News, the LA fires is officially Lahaina 2.0. And what I'm going to do here to kind of go through this is a tweet from the Patriot Voice. Okay, so let's follow this. And this, I'm glad we spoke with Leo earlier. You guys watched that. We were asking the right questions. Let's look at this. Let's look at what's happening here, why this feels like Lahaina. The LA wildfires are being started by DARPA, direct energy weapons. So again, it's another theory that we are looking into. This time it's Los Angeles. Oh, the 2028 Summer Olympics are coming up. How does that work? Well, it's the same thing that happened in Paradise, California, Lahaina, and near Amarillo, Texas, all areas that will be host to the coming Advanced World Economic Forum, AI governance, smart cities. Okay, so this is where we get the two pictures. So he says, look at these two pictures. I'm gonna put them up here. What do you notice from both of them? And this, we talked about this earlier with Leo. The trees remain intact while homes and buildings are completely destroyed. Do you think this is normal? So you got, yes, this is what we get every time. And we saw this firsthand in Lahaina. Same thing. You saw trees intact, buildings destroyed, like it was targeted stuff. There you go. There you go. What did these have in common? Same thing, same problem. Okay, moving on. On top of that, do you think it's normal for fire insurance? So now we're tying it all together. So now once you start seeing this, you start looking at some of this stuff as worse than incompetence, Craig. Do you think it's normal for fire insurance companies to pull out of neighborhoods months in advance and at random? You think they knew something was going to happen? What about there being absolutely no water, as we showed you earlier, to fight said fires? Think that was accidental? Okay, you could still think it was an accident. You could still think it was incompetence. What about Mayor of LA? We just showed you was literally out of the country when it started. Put simply, our government, who is working hard hand in hand with the WEF and BlackRock, is purposely setting fires using military-grade DEWs in these areas to initiate a massive land grab. The reason is because according to the Olympic Committee and the city of LA, the outdated infrastructure must be completely torn down and rebuilt into AI-governed smart city in time for the Olympics, which is coming up 3 years from now. It is a lot cheaper than eminent domain to burn the whole thing down than to pay out for people's land that they have held on to for many years. This is how they force people to relocate so they can create these cities. And this part's important, Craig, and so I grabbed the end of this tweet. It's very important. I understand it must be a hard pill for some to swallow that their own government would do this to them. But just look what happened on 9/11. So yeah, it is arson being perpetrated by some very wicked people, not climate change, sick, depraved evil, the likes of which most people cannot comprehend. And then this is just finally a screen grab of what they're planting the seeds of this back in August of 2022, where they talk on State Scoop. They talk about redefining smart cities, making that a fun word, Craig. Smart cities is fun, like your smartphone, very fun, while preparing for the Olympics. And it talks about how LA prepares for the 2028 Olympics, and how they're going to do it. What does smart city even mean? So we're putting the pieces together. We're asking the questions that need to be asked. And I'm going to say this for our viewers, how important this is. We apply this to every incident, every issue, every topic. You guys have been watching our shows. We say this: when something happens, it is our job to be skeptical. It is our job to ask questions. It is their job, and they being the people in power, whoever it is, the elected officials, people in the wealthy, the donor class, the media that gets paid by big pharma, that get paid by the military industrial complex. It's up to them. The onus is on them to prove us wrong or to answer our questions honestly. If they can prove that there was no nefarious activity or behavior and they check those boxes, then we say thank you for providing it. What we never do is we never say, I'm sorry for asking you that question in the first place, master. I'm sorry. No, we're never sorry for asking questions, and we'll continue to be skeptical until proven otherwise. That's how we do things.
And here's the thing too. Like, I think that obviously they want to put Karen Bass as a scapegoat, right? Like, and let you believe that if she did have more firemen out there, that this would have been better if she didn't cut that budget, whatever. However, you know, to me, what's really damning is her silence, not willing to speak about this, right? That says to me she's hiding something. And I think she was told to cut that budget so it would make it's a smoke screen. There's something deeper going on over here. And this is why I'm saying we need complete transparency across the board. Lady, open up your mouth, speak. Who told you to cut the budgets? Why'd you cut the budgets? Oh, she doesn't want to say anything because she doesn't want to give a clue on anything. But there was somebody behind that pushing her to do it, and for a certain reason. And that's why we get a lot of this malarkey going on, and we never get to what's going on. It's just like my work with elections. We need transparency across the board. End of story. If the truth blows it up, then so be it. We deserve the truth.
LA fires looking like Lahaina 2.0. And that is top censored news of the week.
Fortunately, we're here to bring you top censored news of the week.